Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you, and today we're going to talk about Sustanon 250. But before we get into that, just a big shout out and thank you to everybody that's been watching, supporting, subscribing, commenting. I cannot thank you enough. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share, whatever you can do. It's so helpful for the channel to grow, and it allows me to produce more of this amazing content for all of you. But in all seriousness, please continue to support, and I will do my best to provide you with the absolute best content that I can possibly give you. So, without further ado, let's get into Sustanon 250. I don't know why I haven't done this video, but people keep asking, and I think I try to get so creative sometimes that I need to just go back to some basic things that we got to put back out there. I think it's because I've done some of these so many times, but that's okay. I'll do them again and again and again to get the content out there. So Sustanon 250 is designed to be a sustained released testosterone shot. So just like the name says, it has 250 milligrams of testosterone per 1 cc or 1 milliliter. So by combining 4 different testosterone esters into the mix, the designers of Sustanon 250 were just trying to eliminate the kind of peak and trough in blood serum levels that using only a single ester would create. This created one of the best forms of TRT or testosterone replacement steroids on the market. So that's one of the best ways for it to be implemented. Now, the benefits of using Sustanon 250 during a cycle are the same as using any sort of testosterone, but with a few added bonuses due to the ester mix. So Sustanon can be used less often than other versions of testosterone while still reaping the benefits. So, you know, the benefits, just like with any other form of testosterone, but just in case you didn't know, obviously an increase in strength, a possible increase in libido, improved recovery after each training session. It's not like it's a better form, it's just a different form. Now, it's composed of 4 different ester chains, as I kind of indicated earlier, that release at different times, which is why people like it. So you should not really have that abrupt peak and then that sharp decline when compared to other testosterone esters. So the consistency and levels of testosterone are going to help you to minimize the chances of, say, an estrogen spike and that overly severe suppression of your HPTA. Now, excuse me, although long and persistent use of any form of testosterone is going to cause side effects, Sustanon is considered by a lot of people out there to be responsible for less abrupt sides. Honestly, that's a myth, but some people believe that, and so to each their own. Now, let's kind of just talk about esters real quick so we understand, you know, why this is beneficial. All esters have a half-life. Okay, so the release of the steroid from the ester will peak and decline at different times. Now, that's going to be dependent on the ester. So think of it as like a sharp increase followed by a sharp decline in blood serum levels of the steroid being used. And this can be a couple of hours or a couple of days. So like all steroids, testosterone on its own has a very short half-life. So as a result of this, manufacturers of synthetic testosterone use a chemical process to attach an ester chain to the testosterone base. Now, the attachment of the ester chain to the hormone are going to make it oil soluble. Now, that's going to also slow the rate at which the steroid leaves the body. So, as a result of this, testosterone cannot attach to the androgen receptors until the ester chain has been cleaved off from the hormone. So, in the end, adding an ester chain is going to make the steroid a lot more manageable for your dosing, because the shot frequency then goes down to only a couple times per week. Sometimes it can be once a week, and then we know when we get in those longer decanoates, it can be once a month. So, but they're all different, all right? So this is compared to several daily shots if the base hormone was just being injected. Okay? So the base hormone without an ester chain will be in and out of the body in just a few hours. This forces you to actually take several daily shots in order to run an effective cycle or TRT treatment. So in order to maintain consistency in the release of testosterone from each injection, the designers of Sustanon 250 used 4 esters in the same oil carrier. So the intention is mixing 4 esters to then allow for like a cascading effect using the different peaks and troughs of the different ester to keep levels fairly steady. So when you combine esters of different lengths, they create a somewhat perfect TRT compound. The shorter propionate ester is going to peak a lot quicker. The mid-length ones like the phenylpropionates build up. And then the short to mid-length esters are going to decline sharply. At the same time, the longer decanoate ester is just reaching its peak release. So the different esters in Sustanon, we got, like I just mentioned, testosterone decanoate, 100 milligrams. This is one of the longest esters used in any steroid. It has a very long half-life, over 2 weeks. It's around 15 days, which means the active life of the ester is almost a month. So in simple terms, from the time you inject decanoate, it takes about 30 days to leave your system, though you can expect the peak of it to be around 11 to 12 days, not 15. Now, interestingly here, the decanoate ester is the main reason Sustanon is considered a once-a-month drug, and people think that you can inject 1 injection of Sustanon per month based on this ester alone. And this is true for TRT therapy, but it's a complete fallacy for bodybuilding. So think of it like this. By the time that you get to day 11 through 15, they're about 2 weeks in, you peaked and you used up most of the steroids, so you need another injection to keep your blood levels steady. All right? Then we've got testosterone isocaproate at 60 milligrams. Now, this is a mid-range release ester, and it's used to kind of bridge the gap between the release of the propionate and the decanoate ester. We got a 9-day half-life. Then we got phenylpropionate at 60 milligrams, and this is another mid-range ester used to keep your levels steady as the propionate ester kind of disappears from the system, and the user waits for the decanoate ester to kick in. So some studies out there have shown that the phenylpropionate ester has a 5.5-day half-life, but it's kind of believed to be about 4.5 days. And that's the same as propionate. Now, we got 30 milligrams of propionate. It's one of the shortest esters that you can use in any steroid preparation, as many of you do know. But if you're new to this, now you know it's one of the shortest forms you can find. And it's also one of the most popular forms of test that's used. And when it's used alone, it needs to be injected every other day. Now, in the Sustanon formula, injections can be done weekly because the isocaproate and the phenylpropionate ester are just starting their full release as the propionate ester kind of wears out. All right? I generally prefer twice a week dosing, but you can do once a week. Now, the reported half-life of propionate is 4.5 days, but a lot of bodybuilders think it's about 3 days. So this has something to do with the way the esters cleaved off by different men with different health levels. But basically, the propionate ester is the base of the Sustanon formula, and it's added as a TRT drug because it gives you the usual TRT symptoms of an immediate boost. All right. Now, just think of it this way. After years of having a low libido, depression, and weight gain caused by low testosterone levels, you feel great within the first few days of your injection. So you can call the propionate addition to the Sustanon TRT formula essentially like a psychological boost more than anything else. Now, injecting. It's not necessary to inject Sustanon every 3 days. All right. But a lot of people believe that it helps to take advantage of the propionate ester and keep a more consistent release of the drug itself. Now, the pharmaceutical reason for the 4-ester was to spare the person using it multiple shots per week, but many people do feel it's best to do it every 3 days, which I actually am on board with too, but it's not the most optimal way to do it. The most optimal way is about every 5 days. I just prefer twice a week myself. All right, but like I said, you can get away with once a week with Sustanon as well. But my dosing recommendations are not going to change with Sustanon as it would with any other form of testosterone. All right, you watch my video, I always say that 500 milligrams is not even necessary of test like some people truly believe. 350 to 500 milligrams are great doses dependent upon the person. One of the reasons for me personally that I keep my test a little lower is, one, because I don't feel that you need a lot to get a lot from it, which is a fact. And two, I'm more estrogen prone, so the higher I go, the more water weight that I get, even with Aromacin or Arimidex, but that's to each their own. My whole deal with it, when I'm advising everybody out there watching is you don't need to take 500 milligrams to make good gains. But I did a completely separate video of that. I'm not going to go on a tangent on that again. But let's talk about the side effects. Side effects are consistent with any other form of testosterone. So you can have water retention and gynecomastia from elevated estrogen. So just make sure that you're controlling your estrogen with Aromasin or Arimidex. And then there's just general side effects that are possible. You could have hair loss, right? You could have swelling of the prostate, mainly from the testosterone conversion to DHT or dihydrotestosterone by the 5-reductase enzyme. Both of these side effects can be minimized with the like I said, the use of SERMs, Novadex, Aromasin, Arimidex for your AIs. It just depends on the person. I'm not a proponent of using Novadex on cycle. Some people are. It's not a true aromatase inhibitor. It's just an estrogen blocker, but that's, once again, a topic for another video. Now, higher levels of testosterone also cause more oil to be secreted on the skin. So there's an increase of chance in getting acne. Anytime you've got hormonal changes, this is possible. And in addition, you're going to be more prone to sweating, and your urine could have like a solvent-like smell if you're exceeding 500 to 750 milligrams a week. Bad cholesterol levels are also a problem when using testosterone, so you should definitely watch your diet, add high-quality omega-3 fats, probiotics, psyllium husk, fiber, things like that. I went over the half-lives with you, but just once again, testosterone decanoate, 15 days, isocaproate, 9 days, phenylpropionate, about 4.5, and propionate, about 4.5. But like I said, some people believe with propionate, we're looking at 3 days. So that's Sustanon 250 for you in a nutshell. I try to cover every single fact that I possibly can on it. I generally don't think it's necessary to go over 12 weeks. 12 weeks is perfectly fine for your cycle. You can get great results. Just understand, some people think Sustanon is like the nectar of the gods, like it's something so special and you're going to get so much more out of it. That's not the case. It's testosterone. Testosterone, testosterone, testosterone. It just has what I explained, the 4 different ester chains, which, allow for different types of releases. That's it. So don't think that it's something extra special in terms of you're going to gain so much more off of it. It has its benefits just like any other compound, and some people love it and some people don't find it necessary whatsoever. That's to each their own. I just want to make sure that you fully understand everything there is to know about Sustanon. All right? So, that being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.